We are entering the home stretch of another Big Ten basketball season. Both the men's and women's basketball teams have 2 games this week. We'll start with the men. After a couple of losses last week against Michigan on Tuesday night by a 75-73 count, and a Saturday loss against the Wisconsin Badgers, 94-84. The Boilermakers will look to get back on the beam tomorrow night. Purdue will play at Michigan State. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip at the Breslin Center. The Michigan State Spartans come in ranked at number 14. The Boilermakers number 13 in this week's AP poll after the losses last week. And then Sunday, Purdue back on the road to take on the Indiana Hoosiers in a rematch of a game earlier this year that Purdue won at Mackey Arena. That one will tip off Sunday at 1:30. Couple of notes, the Boilermakers will have a home-and-home series starting next year with the Iowa State Cyclones, another top 20 perennial team in college basketball. So it'll be interesting to see how the non-conference schedule will set up next year for Matt Painter and crew. And also Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn were named to the mid-season list of the Naismith Trophy Player of the Year. So congratulations to both Braden and Trey. The Boilermaker men are literally on their way as we speak to East Lansing to take part in that game tomorrow night. So this one will be all about the women tonight. The women's basketball team split a pair of games last week, beating Northwestern on Wednesday night 75-60 at Mackey Arena, and then falling at Indiana on Saturday by a 78-56 count. Purdue with 2 more games this week, hosting the Minnesota Golden Gophers Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and then traveling to 8th-ranked Ohio State Sunday for a noon tip-off. Good evening, everybody. From walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, it is Purdue Basketball Live. I'm Tim Newton. I'll be joined in the next segment by Katie Geralds, the head women's basketball coach. You can follow along on Purdue Athletics' Facebook, X, and YouTube sites. And we'll have Purdue Basketball Live presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Daly for 2, couldn't get the mid-range. That's her favorite shot, just couldn't get it to fall that time. Swanson spinning in the lane and getting it with the nice roll off the glass. Now Harder inside, Sullivan, rejected by Swanson.
Keeps it in bounds.
Here comes Jones. Jones looking to push on Harder. Foul and the bucket. Rashunda Jones, tough take. Collier just shook 2 defenders. Now outside, Layden, 3-ball. Got it. Got a half screen from Puryear, now driving on Lau. Collier looking to spin on the right side. The foul and the bucket. Ella Collier with a chance at a 3-point play.
Purdue has continued, and that's what it felt like, managing. You need to really limit those offensive chances.
Puryear just too physical, driving down. Hedged by Reagan Bass and now given away. 2-on-1 for the Boilermakers. Bass tried to give off to Collier. Good defense from Harder to help, but they couldn't stop the teardrop from Collier. Here in West Lafayette, Indiana, as we're getting ready to start for 4th quarter of play, and it's a quick start now. Kyla Jones all the way to the hoop, rejected by Destiny Lombard.
That's what you just have to do when you're getting back into a game, cutting the lead down to 6 points.
McCarthy into the paint, kicks out. Now Swanson, open 3. Got it from the elbow. And maybe something that head coach Katie Geralds referenced in their practices leading up to this one. Collier will just pull it from 3. Got it. The Cats are out-rebounding Purdue 37-32. They have 12 offensive rebounds as Jones with the take and the foul. The bucket to boot. Lau charging in. Stolen away by Layden. Here comes Swanson. Swanson, Layden.
Welcome back to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors, boiler up. Katie Geralds joining me, and I guess thank you for wearing the shirt.
Got a rep, Tim.
For those who are not watching on social media, she's got the T-shirt when they had me for the 1,000 game last year, so I appreciate that.
Well, I do it to you sometimes with the
Chiefs. You do, and that's okay.
I want to make sure that it's all in love.
It's all good. It's all good.
Appreciate you.
Speaking of all good, how is the team right now in terms of health? Are they all good, or are we still battling some illnesses?
We all practiced today, so
that's a step.
Good sign. I think we're hitting the the end of the tunnel there. I think it's kind of making its way up in the office now. Alex a little under the weather. Hopefully we kind of keep it there. But, it's just a matter of time before it probably touches everybody. But hopefully we've kind of contained it and we can get through this.
I was watching a lot of college basketball over the weekend, and certainly you're not the only team that's suffering from that. It seems like this is the time of the year that there's a lot of flu and virus running through everybody around the country right now. How do you, when you've got those kids confined in a close space for as long as they are, how do you avoid it?
Yeah, you don't, and that's probably why it passes around. I know on the bus down to Indiana, KP was in a mask. Obviously she played Saturday, but it hit her Friday, and she was in a mask. Try to get her a separate room and stay away from everybody the best you can. But it's just something that has gone through us, and it's been weird because in all my years of coaching, I've never had something like this where it just kind of rolls through everybody. This is my first time experiencing this.
And the challenge is you're a little bit short on numbers because of some injuries, so that has to make practice even harder. I mean, at times you got, 6, 7 kids that are available, if that.
Yeah, and today, Abby comes into my office, Abby, our GA, she's like, hey, we only got 2 guys today. And I'm like, well, let me see how many players we have first. Like, can we even go 5-on-5? And, honestly, we couldn't. So, we're able to do some breakdowns of, how we think we can attack Minnesota or how we think that they're going to attack us. But, it's part of it. And we haven't made any excuses. Our kids haven't made any excuses. They've continued to put their head down and battle. And no matter who we have or who we don't have, our kids have competed the best they can.
Well, they competed on Wednesday night, taking on Northwestern, winning that one 75-60. And we talked right after the game. When you have balance in your scoring, you get 4 players in double figures, you got a pretty good chance to win. Yeah,
and that's who we are, right? We've talked about it. We don't have a Juju Watkins, a Kaylin Clark, or anybody like that. It's a matter of us trying to get it done by committee. On Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
on Wednesday, we were able to do that against Northwestern. Saturday didn't go our way, but for us to have a chance against Minnesota, we've got to have a night like we did last Wednesday.
Let's go back to the Northwestern game. First of all, defensively, you hold that team to 60 points. It's a team that had put up 80 against Iowa. I thought you did a terrific job on Kaylee Walsh. Seemed to get her pretty frustrated. It's kind of funny. She's had poor games against Purdue, and then she had a fantastic game in the Big Ten tournament last year.
Yeah, she lit our world up in the Big Ten tournament, and at their place last year, we thought we did a good job on her. The one thing we did at their place is we attacked her. Mm-hmm. We made her play both ends of the floor, and thought that if we could make her play both ends of the floor, maybe she gets a little winded, maybe she gets tired of foul trouble, or doesn't have the legs on her shooting. And it really wasn't until the fourth quarter that she got some shots on us here last Wednesday. But I thought, Lana, KP, Reagan, and then Kenna guarded her a little bit down the stretch. But I think I thought they all did a really good job of making sure we didn't let her get to her spots and just make her a little bit more uncomfortable.
McKenna Layden was able to get back in the lineup for you here the last couple of games, and certainly we've seen her offense grow from the three-point line, but I think the rebounding is what really sticks out. She had double figures against Indiana on Saturday.
Yeah, it's why she was inserted into the lineup. Really, we just needed somebody who can clean the glass, and she didn't practice leading up to Northwestern. Did shoot around on Wednesday. So when did we play Rutgers? Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. So from Saturday night to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, didn't do anything. Couldn't do anything. Wednesday goes through shoot around. And then leaves pregame meal to go get an IV to be able to play in the game. Yeah. And it was just a matter of, are you healthy? I felt like I was just like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Making sure her wind was okay. But, we need her to clean the glass and stretch the defense. And then I thought she did a good job against Indiana. Cleaning the glass. She had 10 defensive rebounds. Yeah. And we played her at the 3 and the 4, played all 37 minutes.
Well, and I thought she showed some fortitude in that the Northwestern game, because I saw her, usually the team comes out about an hour before. She didn't go through the warm-ups then. Yeah. And I thought, well, maybe she's out tonight, saving everything she had. And I think she wound up playing 27 minutes on Wednesday.
Yeah, we asked her not to do that, let's save all your juice for the game. Don't need to go through the whole game, the whole pregame warm-up. You just trust that she's a she's a basketball player and can get her mind in the right frame. I thought Reagan was really good to start the third quarter for us against Northwestern, and then Kenna was really good, just kind of picking and choosing her spots to be on the floor for us. I
think when you get a player like McKenna Layden, it also shows the daughter of a coach, and she understands. I mean, the importance of availability. Ability is the best. Availability is the best ability you have. I'll get to that saying right.
No doubt. I love to have her in uniform when we were at Rutgers. I think that goes a little bit different. It's unfortunate that we can't go back and have a healthy team that day, but it was important for us to get the win against Northwestern, and happy to see kind of gut that one out.
All right, we're coming to you from Walk-Ons. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Purrier with the rebound. Boy, she has been playing such good basketball the last few weeks. There's a decent look for Destiny Lombard, and did Purdue need that three-pointer or what? As a head coach, and this game has gone all Terry Morin, and with exception of that nice block there by Sophie Swanson, just about everything in the first 10 minutes, 10 seconds has gone Indiana's way. They also lost 18 turnovers on Wednesday. They've lost only one here. That's Sophie Swanson heating up. Remember, she's been playing great her last 4 games. Nice defense by Indiana. Hard to get a good look for Purdue. Bass with 3 on the shot clock. Fires. That's the third three-pointer for Purdue.
Needs to be focusing on the bright spots, the few things that went well, like the play of this young lady right here. And let's do more of that. We feel like she has an advantage, especially if they want to guard her one-on-one. So let's continue to surround her. Let's go 4 around 1. Give her
wrong direction for her, but she's already made a 3 here. She has 13 points on the day in total, and her team with a comfortable lead. And that's back-to-back opportunities for Purdue to go inside to Purrier to score. You're telling these teams matter less, then why would you risk losing it? Swanson answers with a 3 of her own.
Her team today is quick.
Haven't seen it yet. Force another turnover. Got a fast break opportunity. That's their first points in the fast break all game long.
And that way you can't stay too high, and UCLA, you can get right back at it and try and bounce back.
Meanwhile, that is 4 fouls on Caroline Strickland, who is out. The Boilermakers have laid it lining up for 3, and suddenly they've scored 13 unanswered points.
McKenna Layden, she's been attempting more three-pointers in the last 5 games than she has all season. They're young, they're freshmen.
We are live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Boilermakers went to Indiana on Saturday to take on the Hoosiers, and Indiana was coming off 2 losses on the road. Coming back to their home arena, you kind of thought they'd come out with a spurt, and unfortunately they did. You took a couple of timeouts, but it got 20-2, and the situation, they hadn't hit shots the last 2 games, and they came out and couldn't miss to start it.
Yeah, that one, we were just talking about it, 6 minutes into the game, we were already calling 2 timeouts, and one's not even a media. After the 20-2, I thought we played pretty well. I don't know. Our transition defense was horrendous, just terrible. And we weren't crashing the offensive glass and then not getting back, and Indiana just shoved it down our throat. Thought it was really important to kind of like slow down.
Chloe Morton-Neal, Garzone.
Garzone, thank you. My God.
Yep.
I'm thinking about Minnesota, and I almost said Amaya Battle, and I was like, no, it's not Battle. We play her next. So we kind of challenged Spider to kind of get in her. We thought her speed, and we go under a ball screen, and Garzone gets one to go. Then we chase over the top of a ball screen. She gets a layup at the rim, and I think she had a fadeaway against Dez, but she scored 7 early points.
Right.
She hadn't shot it well. Parrish hadn't shot it well. And they just did whatever they wanted to with us early, and we just couldn't quite settle in. And it really wasn't until the second half offensively where we kind of had some better spacing, and we were able to take advantage of, KP inside. Lana went 1 for 6, but still did a better job of getting to ball screens and whatnot. Our spacing was better, but yeah, the start there was not great. You know, I thought we responded because I think that could have gone the other way.
Oh,
It could have been
yes.
It could have been really, really ugly with the way that game started. And we had cut it to 18 and cut it to 18, like that sucks saying it. Sorry, I said sucks. But like that, you know, like we fought back.
Right.
And I'm not so sure that would have happened earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I thought we showed a little bit of competitive spirit that shows me that we have gotten better. Just to start there, we talk about all the time. We don't have enough firepower to put ourselves in those spots.
What you hope, though, is you got enough of that in the last 3 quarters that you can show them, and you come into that game a week from now on Senior Day and say, okay, you know, we need to start like this from the middle of the first quarter on.
Yeah, I don't know the environment. Indiana coming off 2 losses, and really playing for their NCAA tournament lives or whatnot. But you know, it was a great crowd, and it got really loud in there, and we just were not ready to go. And you know, ultimately that's on me. I've got to make sure we're ready to go. You know, from the get go, and you know, when those guys come back in town, I promise the team today, like, I'll do a better job. But right now our focus is on trying to get better and preparing for Minnesota the best we can.
Well, one of the things, and we'll talk about Minnesota in a little bit, but the turnovers, and we've talked about the turnovers this year. There are 2 kinds. There are the kind where the band catches the ball and you can get back and get sent on defense. You had some, though, early in that game Saturday that wound up in your basket, and those are really deflating.
Terrible. I think I saw a clip on Instagram where Indiana just steals, and it was little things like us just, you know, posts being 3 quarters and us not throwing to the right side, you know, throwing into hands or just not being strong with the basketball. Indiana's a team that sits in the gaps heavily, and you know, us just not protecting on drives. But it came down to spacing for us. Our spacing in the first quarter was just terrible, and it got better in the second half when we were able to talk about it and kind of settle them down. But at that time, you know, when Indiana's just kind of riding a 20-point lead or whatever it is, we've got to do a better job from the start. And Minnesota's a very similar team that's heavy in the gaps, very physical. And we've got to make sure we're ready to go from the start.
You've talked about Kendall Purrier a couple of times. She continues to impress in her freshman season. I think, you know, there are ways that a freshman can go about midway or 3 quarters of the season through, and sometimes if they're having a tough time, mentally it can really wear on them. But she seems to be getting mentally and at least physically stronger as the season goes along.
Yeah, she's just a competitor. You talk about all the time, like, she's just a dog, like, you know, like just somebody you want on your team, somebody you don't want to have to play against. And she still has her freshman moments, you know, those little silly mistakes, or, you know, when she's battling, like Strickland's a 4th-year senior, has just a little bit more experience and can kind of bait you into doing things that, you know, that I think KP will learn as she gets older and older, or, you know, older and more experienced. But, you know, I'm really glad 22's on our team.
We call that crafty. As they get older, they get crafty, and the only way you get crafty is with more experience.
No doubt.
You mentioned Lana McCarthy before, and it's tough. And I talked during the game on Saturday. She was having one of those freshman days. You pick up a foul 8 seconds into the game, and it's got to knock you off your pins a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And, you know, she was just being a little bit aggressive on you know, we wanted to jam the ball screen up and kind of push the screener outside of 3-point line and to allow our guards some space to go under. So if they wanted to shoot it, they were shooting a deeper 3. And just, you know, that's kind of one of those things where I think Strickland kind of baited her into it. I don't know how aggressive or physical Lana was in that situation, but something that Lana will learn as she grows.
Well, one of the things that you've got both those post players down there, you've got a lot of other freshmen and sophomore. I think it's something like 60 to 65% of your scoring right now is coming from your freshman and sophomore class. That's number 1 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we all need to keep in mind a little bit, even though, you do have a lot of, you've got some transfers and some portal kids that are in the lineup, but you've got a lot of young players right now that are still contributing.
Yeah, I mean, and we rely on them. You think about, like, you know, this late in the season or whatever it is, but, you know, all 5 starters from last year were gone. And we rely heavily on our freshmen and sophomore. You know, it's interesting because when I look at these, you know, these grads or these kids we got out of the portal, right? We got a couple grads, and I think Reagan's just a regular senior or whatever. But I think their impact on on Purdue University women's basketball team will be greater in a couple years than maybe it is right now. The way they have led KP and Lana, Jordy, I know Jordy's been in and out of lineup, but like KP and Lana, Sophie, Spider, Kenna, those 5 young kids are going to be better their junior and senior year because of Reagan, Ella, Mari, and Des. And I know people don't see that, but we see it every day. KP is going to know how to lead, a freshman that comes in. Lana's going to know how to lead, and it's because of Reagan and Mari and Ella and Des. And that hasn't translated to wins for us this year. And that's hard to swallow for me because I appreciate so much what Mari and Ella and Des and Reagan do for our ball club. But it's been so much about the future and helping lead these young kids the right way. Now trust me, like we're not laying down dead here. We're going to try to figure out how we find a way to play as much basketball as we can. But I will forever be grateful for the way those 4, who they have been every single day, not throwing in a towel, not complaining about anything other than what can I do and how can we help. And I think their impact is going to be bigger in the end than it is right now. And I hope that you and I are talking here in 2 or 3 years, and we're KP Lana's junior senior year, and we're gonna remember this moment and the way that those 4 have led our younger kids this year.
All right, talking with Katie Geralds. We'll have more in 2 minutes on Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Kicking the ball around now, Rashunda Jones driving to the hoop, and a nice reverse layup with the right hand. That's what she loves to do. She's got the first 2 points for the Boilers. Interior pass to Walsh, stolen away by Swanson. Swanson on the break, no one really around, and she'll lay it in with the finger roll. Swanson's got the last 5 points for the Boilermakers. Daly for 2, couldn't get the mid-range. That's her favorite shot, just couldn't get it to fall that time. Swanson spinning in the lane and getting it with the nice roll off the glass. Now Harder inside Sullivan, rejected by Swanson.
Keeps it in bounds.
Here comes Jones. Jones looking to push on Harder. Foul and the bucket. Rashunda Jones, tough take. Collier just shook 2 defenders. Now outside, Layden, 3-ball. Got it. Got a half screen from Puryear, now driving on Lau. Collier looking to spin on the right side. The foul and the bucket. Ella Collier with a chance at a 3-point play.
Purdue has continued, and that's what it felt like managing. You need to really limit those offensive chances.
Puryear just too physical, driving down. Hedged by Reagan Bass and now given away. 2-on-1 for the Boilermakers. Bass tried to give up to Collier. Good defense from Harder to help, but they couldn't stop the teardrop from Collier. Here in West Lafayette, Indiana, as we're getting ready to start for 4th quarter of play, and it's a quick start now. Kyla Jones all the way to the hoop, rejected by Destiny Lombard.
That's what you just have to do when you're getting back into a game, cutting the lead down to 6 points.
McCarthy into the paint, kicks out. Now Swanson, open 3, got it from the elbow. And maybe something that head coach Katie Gearlds referenced in their practices leading up to this one. Collier will just pull it from 3, got it.
Welcome back to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Riley Children's Health, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. Give you a quick update again on the schedule for this week. Starting tomorrow night, the men will be at Michigan State. You can hear that here on the Learfield Network starting at 6 o'clock. And then the Boilermakers will be taking on the Indiana Hoosiers Sunday at 1:30. That'll be a 1:30 tip at Assembly Hall. For the Boilermaker women's team, it'll be a Wednesday night game at home against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. That'll be a 7 o'clock start. And then on Sunday, Purdue travels to Ohio State to take on the 8th-ranked Buckeyes. It is on Wednesday night, the Fight Like a Boilermaker Pink game. And we talk about this every year. There are causes that are important. Cancer has hit. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who has not been touched at some point by cancer. I had a chance earlier today to talk to Brittany Allen Peterson. She is a professor here in biology. She is a member of the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. We did an interview that we'll play on Wednesday nights about some of the research that she's doing in her lab. You know, sometimes we get caught up on what's happening on the other side of the campus. There's unbelievable research that's going on here every day with cancer research and trying to feed the world. And again, it just reminds you what it's like to be at a place like Purdue.
No doubt. You just think about, you know, Purdue Cancer Research, being a Boilermaker and what that means. Just super blessed to be here. And obviously Wednesday's bigger than the game itself. Like you said, I think we've all had someone in our lives that has fought, battled, or lost their battle with cancer. But you know, an opportunity for us to celebrate, you know, the survivors, but also, you know, try to raise awareness or you know, some money to continue our research to battle this terrible disease.
Well, and as I was walking into Assembly Hall on Saturday, after, by the way, I had been sent to the wrong gate and to the wrong part of the arena twice.
Yeah.
That's another story for another day. But I got the news that Greg Sharp had passed away. Greg is my colleague at the University of Nebraska. He does football and baseball. 61 years old. He lost his battle with pancreatic cancer on Friday, and what's really tragic, Katie, his daughter is getting married this Saturday, and he was hoping to be able to hang on long enough to walk her down the aisle, and unfortunately just came up 8 days short. It's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, that hit me. That gave me chills, and you know, prayers to that family, and I hope she knows that when she is walking down the aisle, her father is there. I hope she feels him. You know, prayers out to the Nebraska family.
Let's talk about the Minnesota Golden Gophers a little bit. We've mentioned a little bit about their team, and they come in with 19 wins. They did not play a very difficult non-conference schedule, to be honest, but they've got 19 wins. They're about 500 in the Big Ten, and they rebound well, and they play physical basketball.
Yeah, you know, 19 wins is 19 wins, and you know, we talked to our group today about, you know, just kind of introducing them to Minnesota. Coming off the Indiana game in terms of just physicality on the ball, off the ball, they do a really, really good job of kind of lighting your world up when you crash the offensive glass. They very fundamental. You know, they shoot it really well.
And their bigs can shoot it from the outside.
Yeah. Hart doesn't shoot it as much, but then you get to their bench, they all shoot it.
Yep.
Their four-man shoots it. Battle is as good as any playmaker or point guard, and she leads them in scoring because she can get it going in the mid-range. At their place last year, she hit a couple crucial buckets that you know, sealed the victory for them. But Gorkowski can shoot it.
Yes.
Kenny can shoot it.
Yeah.
They come off the bench, they can shoot it. So you know, we've got to be locked in. But the first and foremost, we've got to be able to handle their physicality.
Yeah, Don Plitzowite's done a great job this year, I think, with them. And you mentioned the physicality. Now, yesterday, they had an early lead against Oregon. I thought Oregon took them out. They were able to pressure them.
Yeah.
You know, Oregon's kind of a funny team. When they're playing well, they're fantastic.
No doubt.
But they're not always playing well.
No doubt. They're not a team that shoots. Oregon doesn't shoot it really well, but they're super, super good and super disciplined on the defensive end. Iced a lot of ball screens yesterday, have size inside, which, you know, she protects the rim. But I thought the three-quarter court that Oregon threw at Minnesota kind of gave them some fits and kind of like slowed their rhythm down because they jumped on them early. And then, you know, Deja Kelly was just Deja Kelly down the stretch for Oregon. All
right, talking with Katie Geralds. We'll have more after this. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
For Garvin, for the Terps, it's like I said at the beginning of our show, Craig. It's about limiting the damage. If he can make this a major decision instead of a tech.
Going to get a count under 15 seconds. And Matt Ramos will get a 4-point near fall. Ramos looking to continue his dominance here in 2024-2025. Going to get the big Matt return. Airplane spin and takes him down. and gets the 3 points, and Ramos with a little bit of flash will finish off the victory. Grabs the leg, grabs an ankle, gets all of that one, and Grayson Clark gets the 3-point takedown. Tied at 4 now, looking for more, looking to finish off the victory. Going to get the 4-point attempt to take the 8-4 advantage.
Much like in a tournament setting, you don't know who the next guy is going to be stepping across from you. If you prepare for someone, you may get someone else based on an upset, or you just go out and you focus on your match. Joey Blaze needs to go out, do his thing. Shorka, 3-time state finalist out of the state of Virginia, 1-time champion. Grew up in Richmond.
6th 3-point takedown of the matchup for Joey Blaze, 18-5 now. Do the Boilermakers don't, and so it just shows you the evenly matched setup that both these teams are, as Buell looking to finish off, get the 3-point takedown. Always aggressive, looking to finish off the 3-point takedown. He adjusts his headgear, attempts the trip, but a nice job by John. Twinkle toes on his feet. Bowman shoots and gets the 3-point takedown. Kind of on a minute to go here, period number 3. Kind of in a stalemate here. Both these guys here in period number 3, but Ben Venadia changes that real quick with a 3rd.
For Garvin, for the Terps.
On 8th-ranked Ohio State on Sunday, Purdue has already played number 1 Notre Dame, number 3 UCLA, number 4 USC, number 6 South Carolina, number 14 Kentucky, number 21 Maryland, number 22 Michigan State, and number 25 Illinois. Just a walk in the park again in the Big Ten. We're going to talk more with Katie Gearlds, but first we need to pause for station identification. Back after 10 seconds on Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
It's time for the Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. We do want to mention Zach Edey played in the NBA All-Star game last night because his team won in the Futures game. He played a couple of 3 minutes, scored a couple of points, but great to see Zach representing the Boilermakers in that game. As far as the women's Pro Boilers, we got Ariana Harris playing in the British Women's Super League Basketball Conference. Her team won 67-64 in their last time out. She had 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. She's averaging better than 11 points and 4 rebounds a game. Wanted to really talk, though, about Abby Ellis, who's playing in Australia. We've talked a little bit about Abby all season long. A couple of games ago, she had a big game where she had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in an 83-50 win. Yesterday, her team lost a heartbreaker, 87-86, but Abby Ellis was named the Breakout Player of the Year in the WNBL in Australia, and that's quite a feat for her.
Yeah, texted back and forth with her a little bit. Just super proud of Abby. You know, when we recruited her out of Cal Poly, it was about, you know, kind of helping her get to that next level where she can go and, you know, have and find some success. She signed to come back to that same team, but to kind of be like Rookie of the Year, you know, Breakout Player of the Year. Just a kid that's worked so hard and plays with such high energy. Just super proud of her.
Speaking of people who had success not only during their time at Purdue but after they left, Stephanie White was back in town last week. She did a lecture on campus a week ago tomorrow. She had an opportunity to talk to your basketball team.
Yeah, and she was great. Obviously, always, you know, talk about someone super busy, and having her to come back here and steal a few minutes of her time before she did, you know, presidential, you know, conversation. She, you know, the message was that, you know, maybe our job right now as this team is not, you know, to win the Big Ten or get, you know, win the Big Ten tournament or get to NCAA tournament. It's about, you know, the foundation that we're setting for years to come. And she was kind of part of that, you know, those building blocks until they turned it around. But, you know, her message was just kind of like hang on to these moments, keep building, and believing, yeah, just, anytime Steph White's in the building, you
pay attention.
You do. You kind of listen to number 22 and the way she talks and speaks.
There are only 2 weeks left in the regular season. It's hard to believe the Big Ten tournament is just 16 days away. There are 3 games today. One is underway right now. Middle of the third quarter, Maryland is leading Michigan 48-45. Later on, it's Northwestern at Rutgers. That has implications in terms of which teams are going to make the Big Ten tournament. Wild game, though, earlier today, an overtime game. Ohio State beat Iowa 86-78. What was wild about that, Ohio State had a 12-point lead with 1:38 to play, and Iowa forced overtime.
Yeah, threes, 1 for 2 at the free throw line, 3, 1 for 2 at the free throw line, 3, 1 for 2 at the free throw line. It got Iowa right back into it. I think Lucy Olson was fouled with about 3 seconds to go, hit 2 free throws to kind of send it to overtime, and then in the overtime, Ohio State turned it on. But they kind of did the same thing against Minnesota in their last home game. It was a thriller, actually.
And sometimes people wonder, why are they fouling with a minute left? It's a 10-point game. That's why you're fouling with a minute left.
That's why you're fouling.
Yeah,
that's why you're fouling. See if you go 1 for 2. I think, I was watching our men's game with Wisconsin the other day, and I think they zoomed in on Paint on the sideline, and he's like, extend the game the game as long as you can. Unfortunately for us, the Wisconsin point guard just went 2 for 2 at the line down the stretch and had himself a day. But I think our guys are on the road, and it'd be lovely to go into East Lansing and figure out how to win that game for us tomorrow.
Lastly, Katie, you got 4 games left in the regular season, 2 on the road, 2 at home. We don't know how many games you'll have to win to get into the Big Ten tournament. We know at least 1. You're not going to get in probably with 2 wins. What do you want to see? You want to see wins. What would you like to see, though, otherwise out of this team this last 2 weeks?
Yeah, just a competitive spirit. Play with the utmost joy and play and compete for 40 minutes. And I think we talked about that. The way we started in Indiana was not good, and it could have gone the other way. It could have rolled into some 40 or 50-point loss, but our kids didn't roll over. We got to make sure we're starting the game right, giving ourselves an opportunity to be competitive and stay competitive for 40 minutes. But just play with joy and play with a high competitive spirit, just to give ourselves a chance.
All right, Kelly Camara has dropped by, so we're going to go to the bullpen for the last couple of segments. Katie, we'll talk to you on Wednesday night. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in 2 minutes. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Daly for 2, couldn't get the mid-range. That's her favorite shot, just couldn't get it to fall that time. Swanson spinning in the lane and getting it with a nice roll off the glass. Now Harder inside, Sullivan, rejected by Swanson.
Keeps it in bounds.
Here comes Jones. Jones looking to push on Harder. Foul and the bucket. Rashunda Jones, tough take. Collier just shook 2 defenders. Now outside, Layden, 3-ball. Got it. Got a half screen from Puryear, now driving on Lau. Collier looking to spin on the right side. The foul and the bucket. Ella Collier with a chance at a 3-point play.
Purdue has continued, and that's what it felt like, managing. You need to really limit those offensive chances.
Puryear just too physical, driving down. Hedged by Reagan Bass, and now given away. 2-on-1 for the Boilermakers. Bass tried to give up to Collier. Good defense from Harder to help, but they couldn't stop the teardrop from Collier. Here in West Lafayette, Indiana, as we're getting ready to start for 4th quarter of play, and it's a quick start now. Kyla Jones all the way to the hoop, rejected by Destiny Lombard.
That's what you just have to do when you're getting back into a game, cutting the lead down to 6 points.
McCarthy into the paint, kicks out. Now Swanson, open 3, got it from the elbow. And maybe something that head coach Katie Geralds referenced in their practices leading up to this one. Collier will just pull it from 3, got it. The Cats are out-rebounding Purdue 37-32. They have 12 offensive rebounds as Jones with the take and the foul. The bucket to boot. Lau charging in. Stolen away by Layden. Here comes Swanson. Swanson lays it in with
Welcome back to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Lafayette Limo, family-owned, women-owned, serving Greater Lafayette for over 38 years. Shuttles to and from Indianapolis and O'Hare airports 365 days a year. Make your reservations now at LafayetteLimo.com. Lafayette Limo, proud sponsor of Purdue Athletics. And we are proud to have Kelly Camara with us tonight, the associate head coach of Purdue. We were talking in the last segment about Stephanie White, and we could probably fill the rest of the time here with Stephanie White stories. But I'm going to tell one really quickly, and I think it shows the leadership. And it involved not just her, but I think Carolyn Peck was involved. I think you'll go back to the national championship season, and I think it was pretty obvious that they felt, and rightly so, that in order to get to the Final Four and win a championship, they were going to have contributions from the bench, and your name was the one that prominently came up.
Okay.
And I remember specifically you had a tough night when we played at Providence, and Providence was just an absolutely horrendous basketball team. I mean, they were, I think I could have taken 4 people out of the stands, but, you beat them by like 34, but you had a tough night.
Okay.
And I remember you were sulking a little bit after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you remember this,
Sure.
but and they got on you pretty good. I remember on the bus, and it was not totally pleasant, but it was with a purpose.
That's right.
Because Steph knew and Carolyn knew to get to where we want to go, we got to have Kelly Camara be a productive player.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure I had more than one tough night, but I imagine that was one of those situations where, as a freshman, you come from high school and you do so well, and everything is kind of not handed to you, but you're a big fish in a small pond, and then you get to college and all of a sudden you run into roadblocks, and nobody prepares you for that. Nobody really shows you how to navigate hard. And one of the things that I know Carolyn and Stack and Carrie, and especially you, Kari and Steph, did for me is they helped me navigate hard. And it's something that I think our current roster right now is helping. It's helping our young players navigate hard, and it's so important just in life, not just in basketball, but to figure out, people in your life that are going to tell you what it is and help you get better.
Well, and I think the end result of that, you go to the national championship game, and it's still at anybody's game with, 4 or 5 minutes left. Steph turns her ankle, and it's like a 5 or 6 point game. And they bring you in, and the look on your face was like, they're not scoring again. And I don't think they scored again.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, it's twofold, right? Like, your best friend goes down, your best player goes down, and it's like somebody has to step up. Now, Yukari Figs was a different human being the rest of that game. She was just absolutely phenomenal. But it was, many months of their trust in me and building my confidence. And I was ready for the moment. I was ready to go in there and not to score a bunch of baskets, but to be a steady rock when they needed somebody's support.
As a coach, how can you instill that into somebody else?
Wow, if I could.
Where's that injection? Where's that needle? How do you do that?
I wish I could find it, but I think one of the things, and KG does such a good job of this, is using some of our experiences to help the younger players. And we've been through a lot, wins, losses, a lot of different situations. But our experience and what we've gone through, there's no substitute for that. And when you can help the younger players see that it may bend you, but it will never break you. And I think that's what we try and do as a staff to instill into them is tough times last, but tougher people last longer.
And I think that's easier. Sometimes that's easier for coaches to understand than it is for players, because as a player, and you remember as a freshman, you can't see past the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to look and say, how does this prepare me for what's going to happen a month from now, a year from now? That's a hard thing to swallow sometimes.
It really is. And I think one of the greatest joys of coaching is when you finally get those players and they've graduated and maybe a year or two out and they come back and they're like, wow, a lot of what you said was really spot on. In the moment, maybe hard to digest and understand because you are so young and you can't see, like you said, right in front of your face. But even if that translates a year or two after they graduate down the road, it's worth something.
And I think enabling other people to succeed is one thing, but bringing the fire every day. And Katie's up in front of me the entire game, and that's natural.
Yeah.
But I always notice when there's something exciting on the court, the first one out of her seat, the first one charging out on the court's Kelly Camara. I mean, that has never changed from your playing days.
And it never will. I think, when you have that inside of you and that passion, that love, and that competitive spirit, you not only want to show your team and your players and your staff and your community and your fans how important Purdue basketball is to you, but you want to see your players, see the coaching staff love the game and love Purdue the way that we do.
Again, we talked with KG about this earlier. You're looking at the big picture. You're trying to build a program, but as competitors, it has to be hard when you're not getting immediate success. How, as a coach, do you handle that? As a player, it's one thing, but as a coach, it's another thing. How do you handle it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think one is you just have to continue to grow as an individual coach and as a staff. And what I mean by that is continue to challenge yourself to get better at things. And, you know, obviously when things don't work out 100%, it can be better. And how can I be better? How can I learn? How can I grow? And I think so when there's tough times and you've built a connection and you're growing as an individual, then the entire staff, the entire team continues to grow.
Well, I think we saw, and we mentioned also earlier on the show here, Saturday was an example of growth. I mean, it was a tough start, but it was a pretty good final 3 quarters. Now you need to carry that final 3 quarters into the next game and to the game after that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we talked to him today and Scout about was it's got to have focus for 40 minutes, and especially with a team like Minnesota who's come back a couple of games, made it really, really close the last couple of games, you can't let up 1 second. And you know, to kind of quote Steph, she says this a lot, and I think she said it in the lecture series, is how you do anything is how you do everything. And every minute and every rep counts. And that's what she told us in the locker room, told the players in the locker room, don't waste reps.
Yeah.
Don't waste reps because every single possession, and we're going to see it on Wednesday, is just so important.
All right, we're talking with Kelly Camara. We'll have more with the artist formerly known as Z when we come back. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Purrier with the rebound. Boy, she has been playing such good basketball the last few weeks. Tim. There's a decent look for Destiny Lombard, and did Purdue need that three-pointer or what? As a head coach, and this game has gone all Terry Morin, and with exception of that nice block there by Sophie Swanson, just about everything in the first 10 minutes, 10 seconds has gone Indiana's way. They also lost 18 turnovers on Wednesday. They've lost only 1 here. That's Sophie Swanson heating up. Remember, she's been playing great her last 4 games. Nice defense by Indiana. Hard to get a good look for Purdue. Bass with 3 on the shot clock. Fires. That's the 3rd three-pointer for Purdue.
Needs to be focusing on the bright spots, the few things that went well, like the play of this young lady right here. And let's do more of that. We feel like she has an advantage, especially if they want to guard her one-on-one. So let's continue to surround her. Let's go 4 around 1. Give her
wrong direction for her, but she's already made a 3 here. She has 13 points on the day in total, and her team with a comfortable lead. And that's back-to-back opportunities for Purdue to go inside to Purrier to score. You're telling these teams matter less, then why would you risk losing it? Swanson answers with a 3 of her own.
Her team today is quick.
Haven't seen it yet. Force another turnover. Got a fast break opportunity. That's their first points in the fast break all game long.
And that way you can't stay too high, and UCLA, you can get right back at it and try and bounce back.
And meanwhile, that is 4 fouls on Caroline Strickland, who is out. The Boilermakers have laid it lining up for 3, and suddenly they've scored 13 unanswered points.
McKinnon Layden, she's been attempting more three-pointers in the last 5 games than she has all season. They're young.
Purdue Basketball is brought to you in part by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors, Boiler Up. We're talking with Associate Head Coach Kelly Camara. Let's talk about a couple of players in the backcourt. Destiny Lombard came to Purdue with a defensive reputation. She was Defensive Player of the Year in her conference. I think, though, we saw early on this season her offense maybe a little bit more than we expected.
Yeah, for sure. And it was kind of a surprise to us as well as how steady she was. And, you know, defensively, she's long, she's lanky, she's athletic, she's got that high twitch motor. We knew she'd be able to disrupt things on the defensive end, but to rely on her for, you know, 3-pointers, her floaters in the lane, was just an added bonus.
Rashonda Jones is a player that gives you a little bit different dimension. She can break down defenses a little bit in the half court. We've seen her when she's aggressive and taking the ball to the basket is when we see the best Rashonda Jones.
For sure, and that's part of her growth, right? Like last year wasn't really on probably everybody's scouting report, maybe just like driver, pull-up jumper. What we tried to do with her is just expand her game a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so one-dimensional, but she's making reads better. She's trying to really find players and put them in positions like a true point guard, right? Find players, put them in positions to be successful instead of just seeing a colored jersey and tossing it maybe like she would have last year. So her development, as it continues, can only get better. I think her ceiling is very high.
We've seen Sophie Swanson pick her offensive output up a little bit, and you hear Coach Painter talk about it all the time. It's sometimes hard for players, and you look at a Miles Colvin or a Cam Heidi that don't get a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
They come in and they're going to get their shots, but they're not maybe in the rhythm that they would be in if they're in for 30 or 35 minutes.
With Sophie, the one thing that we all love about her, and I think the fans love it about her as well, is she's just competitive.
Yeah.
Right? She may airball one, but boy, she's going to knock down 2 or 3 of next to one of her shots, and I think you can really love and coach on a player that continues to have a short memory when it comes to mistakes. And Sophie's grown a lot. Last year didn't play a ton with coming back from the injury, but from last year to this year has just grown immensely in that area. And I think she's a serious weapon, and when she gets going, look out, because she can be dynamic.
We've talked in the last few weeks about the difference in the Big Ten. Now, you played a few years ago. Katie played a few years ago. This is a different league than it was. First of all, you have more teams. You have 18 teams now. But I've never seen as much talent as there is in this league right now, from top to bottom.
It really is, and it speaks volumes for our league and for our conference. But you look at the top, and easily one of those teams could win the national championship, and it's amazing. And then you get to like the bulk of our conference, and any one day one can beat another, and that's what's the parity is so amazing in the Big Ten right now.
You don't have the luxury of doing this when you're coaching against them, but I look at when I watch a USC come in, and you can just enjoy watching Juju Watkins play.
Yeah.
And if you saw her play against UCLA the other night, 38 points, but 8 block shots.
Yeah.
That just jumped off the page.
Yeah, and what's so hard about I think with Juju is, we had Caitlin Clark, who was everywhere in the Midwest, right? You saw everything about her, and Juju maybe doesn't get as much of that exposure being on the West Coast. But boy, when you do see her play and she makes, shots like that and blocks like that, it just shows what a special player she is.
And what a great time it is right now for women's college basketball. I know we were talking when we were at Rutgers, and you're going to be going to a lot of Indiana Fever games, I think, this summer, right? The attendance there, they're going to be selling out a lot of games again this season. It is a great time, and it's players like Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins that can elevate this game that has been growing for years, but you needed that extra spike, and we've gotten it here in the last couple of years.
We really have, and you can't forget about the players that laid that groundwork, right? We talked about there's no Caitlin Clark without Stephanie White, right? And then there's no next person without Caitlin Clark. And if we continue to grow the game and support the game, and that doesn't mean, go WNBA, that means buying season tickets. That means taking your friends to the game, supporting it in different ways. But, there's no better time. We talk about it all the time in the office. There's no better time right now than to be a women's college basketball player.
And the nice thing and the amazing thing is you look up now and you see both girls and boys in the stands wearing jerseys of their favorite women's basketball players.
It's so cool, and it's just we've come such a long way. And the way that you move the needle, though, is you're not satisfied with, we just have come a long way. How far can we push that needle, and how much more exposure can these young girls like my daughter get?
I'm sure it's going to be exciting in these coming years, and I'm glad we're going to be a part of it. Thank you for dropping by and coming out of the bullpen. We'll let you go back and sit back in the bleachers now for the rest of the show.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
All right, we'll have our final segment of Purdue Basketball Live presented by GEMCO coming up on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
They're kicking the ball around. Now Rashonda Jones driving to the hoop, and a nice reverse layup with the right hand. That's what she loves to do. She's got the first 2 points for the Boilers. Interior pass to Walsh, stolen away by Swanson. Swanson on the break, no one really around, and she'll lay it in with the finger roll. Swanson's got the last 5 points for the Boilermakers. Daly for 2, couldn't get the mid-range. That's her favorite shot, just couldn't get it to fall that time. Swanson spinning in the lane and getting it with the nice roll off the glass. Now Harder inside Sullivan, rejected by Swanson.
Keeps it in bounds.
Here comes Jones. Jones looking to push on Harder. Foul and the bucket. Rashunda Jones, tough take. Collier just shook two defenders. Now outside, Layden, three ball. Got it. Got a half screen from Puryear, now driving on Lau. Collier looking to spin on the right side. The foul and the bucket. Ella Collier with a chance at a three-point play.
Purdue has continued, and that's what it felt like managing. You need to really limit those offensive chances.
Puryear just too physical, driving down. Hedged by Reagan Bass and now given away. 2-on-1 for the Boilermakers. Bass tried to give up to Collier. Good defense from Harder to help, but they couldn't stop the teardrop from Collier. Here in West Lafayette, Indiana, as we're getting ready to start for fourth quarter of play, and it's a quick start now. Kyla Jones all the way to the hoop, rejected by Destiny Lombard.
That's what you just have to do when you're getting back into a game, cutting the lead down to 6 points.
McCarthy into the paint, kicks out. Now Swanson, open three. Got it from the elbow. And maybe something that head coach Katie Geralds referenced in their practices leading up to this one. Collier will just pull it from three. Got it.
We are live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. The 2024-25 Purdue basketball season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. We've got 2 more shows coming up here from Walk-Ons. Rob Blackman will have those the next 2 Monday nights at 6:30. Again, busy week of Boilermaker basketball starting tomorrow night from the Breslin Center. The Purdue men, trying to snap a 2-game losing streak, will take on the Michigan State Spartans. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. Rob Blackman and Bobby Riddell have the call beginning at 6 here on these Learfield stations. The men are back in action on Sunday, taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. That'll be a 1:30 tip at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. The women's basketball team taking on Minnesota on Wednesday night. It's the Fight Like a Boilermaker pink game. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. The jerseys that the Boilermakers wear will be auctioned off afterwards, so you can get your favorite player's jersey and have it go to a good cause with the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. And then the Boilermakers travel to number 8, Ohio State, on Sunday. Thanks to George Bose, our engineer. Hunter Stunkel is in our studios producing, and McCarty Cummings doing the video. For Katie Geralds and Kelly Camara, this is Tim Newton. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Purdue Basketball Live on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.